Today is Monday the 30th, and this is your dose of My Queer Week. This week in MQW, Patricia Arquette has called for trans equality in her Emmy acceptance speech. Troye Sivan brings the gay agenda to Margaret Court Arena. And a rally of 250 people in Tasmania joined to support the protection of Tasmania's anti-discrimination laws. Hey everyone, my name is Tom Regan and welcome to your weekly dose of My Queer Week. So let's dive right into this week's news stories. In the Sydney Morning Herald this morning actually, it's been revealed that there has been $1.5 million spent on a legal battle within the New South Wales Police force. The $1.5 million legal fee is to be paid out of taxpayer money after 4 officers were accused of drug use because of their sexuality and they had a reputation of a lack of morals and reckless behaviour. The 4 officers are suing New South Wales Police for discrimination. Christopher Sheehy, who is one of the officers accused, stated that the amount of money thrown into this legal case is a waste of taxpayer money, and the reason the New South Wales Police are doing this is to discourage people from taking action against these sorts of complaints. Patricia Arquette has called for trans equality in her Emmy acceptance speech. Patricia Arquette had a sister, Alexis, who was born as Robert and began her gender transformation in 2004. Alexis died from a heart attack after complications stemming from her HIV positive status. Patricia says in her acceptance speech, she states in her heart she is so sad she lost her sister and that trans people are still being persecuted. She continued by saying she will be in mourning for the rest of her life and her sister and will continue until trans people are not persecuted and give them jobs and get rid of the bias that we have everywhere against our fellow trans people. Patricia won the Emmy for the Best Supporting Actress in Limited Series of Movie for her role in The Act. Troye Sivan was performing in the Margaret Court Arena down in Melbourne for his final performance of his most recent tour. The arena is infamously named after the homophobic Margaret Court, who is notorious for making comments like homosexuality will destroy young people's lives and that homosexuals are just after our young. She states homosexuality is a lust of the flesh and this is why they want marriage. It's self-satisfying. Troye, after being heckled at during his performance by an audience member saying, "I turn gay for you," Troye responded by saying that this is the gay agenda and that this is what they're all worried about, which I think is ironic considering it was in Margaret Court Arena just after she'd made a lot of these comments, I think it was last year during, around the tennis, the Australian tennis, that all these comments about Margaret were coming out. Around 250 people have rallied in Tasmania over the weekend to support the protection of Tasmania's anti-discrimination laws. The rally was formed because of the federal government's new bill, which seeks to allow people of religion to discriminate against others based on their religious choices. Tasmania has very successful anti-discrimination laws, and the state has called on other states and the federal government to take on these laws. Now, I have a lot to say about this topic, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Religion should not be used when it comes to constructing laws and within our politics system. When religion is used for guidelines and for laws and for politics, it automatically discriminates and removes anyone who doesn't believe in that religion from that law. So you're making laws that are going to discriminate people anyway, so it should not be used. And when it comes to this new Religious Freedom Act, I'm highly against it because it's going to allow people to discriminate based on their religious views. So if I was to go for a job and I wasn't Christian or I wasn't Catholic or I wasn't whatever religion, and that person who was applying me was, they could say to me, no, you can't have the job because based on your religion, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. And the LGBTIQ+ community are even more concerned about this because it just opens the floodgates for a whole barrage of discrimination that can be thrown at our community as well as many other communities, and there is no guidelines or limits for this discrimination, this Anti-Religious Freedom Act yet. So it still needs to be worked on. If they want to put it in place, there are many loopholes that the government need to iron out first. It's been noted that Israel Folau's case is destined to be thrown out in its Melbourne court battle, as he already said that his post conflicted with his contractual agreements, and that he had promised Rugby Australia in the past that he won't post inappropriate things again. And it's as simple as that, folks. When this case started coming out, the bottom line of it, regardless of what else the media took and ran, or what else the public took and ran with it, the bottom line is that he broke his social media clause in his agreement, or at least he told Rugby Australia that he wouldn't do it again and broke that agreement, and he deserves to be punished for it. That's simple and as baseline as it can get. Over to Singapore now, and a local GP in Singapore has raised a challenge to Section 377A of the Penal Code, which in Singapore makes it illegal for two men to engage in sexual activity. The GP, Dr. Tan Seng, has challenged Section 377A, stating that it affects the mental health of gay men in Singapore and alienates them from any sense of belonging and place in the Singaporean societies. Over to France now, where the lower house has submitted a bill that will allow lesbians and single women to use IVF treatment to have children. As it stands in France, only heterosexual couples have access to the treatment currently. Under the new law, the health system of France would cover the cost of the procedure for women up to the age of 43, which is amazing. Religious protesters of the bill have stated that it threatens the foundation of our humanity and will deprive children of their fathers. Oh, please, just let me... This really infuriates me. I know plenty of people out there who have grown up successfully without father figures in their life, and I actually know a few people who probably shouldn't have had father figures in their life because their fathers were not very nice people. We're not going to go into it, but for people, religious people, to be saying that, or protesters to be saying that, is absolute crap, because there are people out there who have grown up with no parents, with just mothers, with just fathers, all types, and all these people have been successful and grown up right. So over in Serbia now, in Belgrade, and police in Serbia have stepped in to protect the participants of a pride march after a group of far-right supporters tried to prevent the march from happening. At least 5 of those 5 far-right supporters were arrested during the pride march. And last but not least, Oscar winner Renne has received a standing ovation for her performance in the new movie Judy, which was screened at the Toronto Film Festival. Renne says in an interview that with The Advocate that Judy is the gay icon she is because of how much she spoke out and stood up for the LGBTIQ+ community at the time, and she showed appreciation for love of all people regardless of who they are. So thank you, Judy, for standing up for us in such an early time when it was more dangerous to be gay than it was safe. So that just about wraps up our MQW news stories for this week. I hope you enjoyed the news portion of this video. If I've missed anything or you'd like to leave any comments, get involved in the comment section underneath. And now it's time for this day in LGBTQI+ history. Our first little bit of history is from September 23rd, 1970. On the CBS television series Medical Center, a medical researcher announces, "I am homosexual." Although his condition is portrayed as unfortunate, the program is acclaimed as the first sympathetic treatment of a gay man in an American TV drama. And on September 24th, 2004, Nova Scotia became the 6th of Canada's provinces or territories to have legalised same-sex marriage. Neither the federal nor provincial governments opposed to this lawsuit. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of MQW. I hope you learned a little bit something. This is a passion project of mine. I want to know more about the LGBTQI+ community and its history, and I hope that you learned something too. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be posting a video on here for MQW every single Monday with all your news and all your history little quid tips every week. So please subscribe, please like, please share this video, and I will see you all next week.